right.
When I do this, it'll be complete professional persona. I'll be like a different person. So
Okay,
compose yourself.
bring it on.
Anna Cumming, welcome.
Thank you. It's nice to be here.
So you are the editor of Sanctuary magazine.
Yes.
And Sanctuary magazine, for those of you who don't know, is a modern green home. Sanctuary Modern Green Homes is Australia's premier magazine dedicated to sustainable house design.
We like to think so, yeah.
At least according to your blurb on the webpage.
Indeed.
You've just celebrated issue number 72, which also marks 20 years in publication.
Yeah.
So that's pretty amazing.
It's a pretty good milestone.
So what have you seen change over all those years? I mean, I don't know if you've been the editor all this time.
I have not, but I have been working on the magazine for 15 of those years.
That's quite a stint.
Which is quite a stint. So I've been working on Sanctuary since 2010. I've been the editor since 2019. So a bit over 6 years of being the editor. So yes, a lot has changed. I mean, when Sanctuary was first published in 2005, the minimum star rating
was there one
thing was pretty new. I think maybe 5-star was just getting off the ground.
Yeah.
Depended on the state. 6-star came in 2011 or so, and then we only just managed to get only in the process actually of getting the mandatory minimum up to 7 all these years later.
2 years passed when it was supposed to come in. There was a bit of resistance to that one.
Yeah, so that's one thing that's obviously changed a bit. But the original idea of Sanctuary magazine was to present an aspirational idea of sustainable building that looked like a glossy architecture magazine, that showed people that they could have a sustainable house that looked like any other house, really, whatever they wanted that house to look like. Didn't have to be mud brick. Didn't have to be off-grid, but of course it can be. And so just to present the idea of sustainable design in a more mainstream way. And you're right that the idea of sustainability in homes has changed a lot over the years. Things like efficient electric appliances have become a lot more available and a lot cheaper. Solar panels, of course, may as well have been gold-plated back in 2005 for the amount that they cost. Home batteries didn't really exist back then, really. So a lot of those things are much more mainstream, much more affordable. Things that were the domain of very early adopters back then are now available to anyone, really. Double glazed windows as well. Now triple glazed windows are, within the realms of possibility financially for more people, whereas back 20 years ago, even double glazing was fiendishly expensive.
Yeah.
So, could be said that some of these things are not moving as quickly as we'd like them to in terms of affordability, even so. But, so things have come a long way in the technological sense, I suppose, and building materials too,
just on materials, I feel like 20, 25 years ago when I was getting a start in architecture, things like Strawbale, mud brick, they were very niche. And it would be very hard to find a professional architect or builder who could build a home for you with those sorts of materials. So owner building was very big. I think maybe more popular than what it is now. But how do you see the uptake of those sorts of, I guess, alternative or niche materials with like a modern,
it's interesting,
sustainable
isn't it?
home?
I think those natural materials are sort of perennially popular. There's a certain base level of popularity. And as you say, they are, most of those materials are more available to the commercial, by which I mean non-owner builder market, than they were. A lot of them are now available in as products, as building products, like as panels or as bricks, masonry, like hempcrete masonry blocks, for example, as opposed. So same material, different, a bigger variety of construction techniques using those materials.
And do you think that helps get people over the line, I guess, to use
Absolutely
those products. Like if it's something that is produced in a factory that comes in a panel that's maybe just a bit more easily, I guess, digestible to the public.
It's more standardised. I'm really excited whenever I see these people producing these products, especially when when they manage to make them in Australia. That's even better. Just because I think they're more standardised, they're easier to assess from an engineering point of view and from for example, a bushfire attack level risk point of view, that kind of thing. They're also, I think, if, for example, a hemp block a hemp block wall can be built by a bricklayer with their existing bricky skills.
Yes.
So it is easier to find tradespeople to work with them, I think.
Yes.
Than so you don't have to own a build, and you don't have to necessarily track down a specialist builder. So that's an advantage that a wider range of options.
I think that's important
for natural building materials.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's difficult if somebody wants to come to me and build a Strawbale home, and I ask, okay, where are you looking to build? Oh, you're out in the middle of nowhere, not very close to like a major centre where there's availability of materials or trades, let alone somebody who's had any previous experience with building with Strawbale. So that can be a bit more problematic for them to achieve that dream of building a Strawbale or a mud brick home, unless they really want to be an owner builder.
They do it themselves, and plenty of people do, and that's great.
Yeah.
But I just think it's terrific that there's a wider range of options these days.
Yeah. Is there any other kind of construction methods that you see are kind of trending at the moment, to use that term? I mean, by definition, that sort of seems to mean, well, it's popular now, but maybe not tomorrow. But things that you think have been more of an uptake in the last couple of years that people are really interested in?
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? I think not so much materials, but construction methods. There's a lot of interest in passive house, the passive house standard, which is a building method that focuses on a really airtight building envelope, well insulated, with mechanical heat recovery ventilation systems to keep fresh air going and so forth. And there are more and more proponents of going down that path in Australia these days. Back 20 years ago, there was maybe one or two passive houses in Australia, and now there are just more and more and more and more, and plenty of them. And so I think there's a lot going for that standard, but I also like in Sanctuary to focus on the possibilities of much simpler traditional construction, if you like, by which I mean timber frame, insulated wall systems, but built with a lot more attention to detail. So, and I think that people are, I'd like to say everybody, mainstream, but it's probably not quite mainstream yet, but many more people in Australia are understanding the importance of building a really well-insulated, airtight building envelope, however you do that, whether you do that through passive house or whether you do it through traditional construction that is just very well done with great attention to detail, vapor permeable membranes for the airtightness and so forth, consideration given to ventilation, because as soon as you do build a more airtight building, you've got to think about condensation and mould issues as well. So I do think that's changed for the better. We all need to be doing that. I'd really like to say that another trend is building with the correct orientation for passive solar performance as a matter of course, but I don't think that's true. I'm sure, I think the Sanctuary Reef ship is true. However, general mainstream building, I think still people are just building.
It is incredible. Yes, even with this recent shift from 6 to 7 star, I feel previously a lot of homes were just getting over the 6 star mark.
Yeah.
But even with those basically same designs or approach to design are now somehow getting 7 stars.
Yes.
I see new homes going up all the time where there is not a north-facing, window to be seen unless it's maybe like the bathroom or the laundry.
Yeah.
I just fail to see how that home can be. Maybe there's some way it's getting that certificate, but the real world comfort that you get from having north-facing glass into your living areas, there's no way of getting around that if you don't have it.
No, I think I think that in some cases and in some climate zones you can get from a minimum 6-star to a minimum 7-star by judicious upping of the insulation levels and that kind of thing. But as you say, that's not the only thing that you need to consider to get
free,
better performance.
with no additional cost.
Yes, I know.
Getting the orientation right. And that's what I like about publications like Sanctuary and others and Renew. It's just this simple sharing of knowledge, which is just freely applicable. I mean, you mentioned passive house. I mean, obviously there is additional cost in getting to that very rigid standard of airtightness and attention to detail, which needs to be done by all the tradespeople.
Mostly labour costs, but
Sure, but like having a good design,
I
mean, it doesn't cost me anything to make a house face south as it does to make it face north.
Yep.
And it shouldn't really cost any more to build a house like that as well, even if it is a conventional stud-framed building.
Yes.
And like we could briefly mention the house we're in now, which is a SIPS home, and that's a little sample of what the walls are made out of. But I guess you could say this is a bit of a hybrid construction method where, okay, we've used something which isn't quite all that commonly used. This is just the walls, but the roof is a truss roof. All the rest of the house is like a normal house.
And a slab floor.
and a concrete slab floor for the thermal mass. But just by virtue of using this material, so this is a whole bunch of panels that interlock together on site, you're getting a very airtight building envelope.
Yep.
So the people on site didn't need to be especially upskilled to make things more airtight than a standard building. And, we know from monitoring the performance of this house for a few years now, we're just having a very stable temperature inside here. Like even though we're getting plenty of 0-degree nights, 35-degree days in summer, or possibly both of those things happening within a 24-hour period, the house is staying, very comfortable without needing like a lot of auxiliary heating or cooling. So it is possible without spending a fortune.
Absolutely, and that's the goal, I think. Having worked on Sanctuary for so long and been in this space, reporting on this space for so long, I've come back to basics, really. What I'm really excited about these days is small homes.
Mm-hmm.
I really encourage people to build the smallest home they can comfortably live in, and try to encourage them not to think about the next owners too much. What they
resale
think will be important for resale.
Yeah.
So build less home. Design, obviously the basics of passive solar design, which is orientation, integrity of the building envelope, insulation, shading for summer. That does depend on your climate, of course, but shading for summer, ventilation, thermal mass, maybe not necessarily, but that can be part of the equation. Airtightness, all of those things, and the third thing is build less house, designed for passive solar performance, and the third thing is flexibility of use of spaces. I see so many floor plans where there's a living room and a second living room and a home theatre and a guest room and a study, and so those rooms can be one room.
Yes.
Maybe 2 rooms.
Yeah.
And think of, or you can have sliding walls that can close off a space when you have guests, but the rest of the time it can be part of the living space. So many great clever options for making the most of less space. And just about every single architectural designer I've ever spoken to about their projects, say what are the projects that you like to work on the best, and they're always the ones with the challenges and constraints.
Yes.
So if you've got no challenges and constraints, it's not hard, but if you've got a difficult site or a very small house or a very small budget or some combination of all those things, they're the fun projects, because that's when you get to be creative, right?
I can't tell you the number of times someone comes to me, we've got maybe $2 million to spend. I'm like, not another one. It's so boring. No, in all seriousness.
Not to say you can't build an amazing house with $2 million.
Well, you can do a lot more. You can do things well with a bigger budget. If people are not so concerned about having as big a home as what they can afford for their budget, but they say, okay, we want to maybe achieve passive house standard, whether we want to get it accredited or not, but we want to achieve that really high level of airtightness.
Yeah.
We want this house to tick along with no other input other than, making toast. Yeah. Like if we have a guest over, we need to open a window because, we're overheating in winter. That's great. Yeah. To aspire to that kind of level.
I think that's the thing, isn't it? It's a mind shift from how many square metres of house can I afford for my money to how high a performing house can I achieve for my money?
For sure. Yeah, what can I go without? Do I really need the high level of finishes?
Yeah.
With the expensive granite bench tops and hardwood floor coverings and things like that. Like one thing I like about this product is in our own home in particular that we've just left the OSB exposed, and I'll put some images into the video here. We didn't need to cover that with plasterboard. Yeah. Like the plasterboard,
but you didn't need to.
We could have, but the presence of the plasterboard is not contributing to our comfort level in here.